Good lad.
Right. Welcome, everybody, to the first time I'm ever hosting a podcast. And I am lucky to have three awesome YouTubers on board for this one. It's Mr. Josh Rebel. I'm sure you've all seen him on this channel in the Günther song, in the Grosjean song, should I say. And then there's Anthony from Perspective F1, who makes fantastic info videos and is really, really good at editing. I look up to that. And then there's Mr. Design, graphic boy, Tamo, who also has a
graphic boy.
It's a gifted speaker who makes great F1 content as well in my favorite color, pink. Let's get started. This is a New Year's podcast, so we'll start off by saying Good New Year. Happy New Year to everybody.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everyone.
It's 2021. It's a nice fresh number. It can only be better than 2020, can't it?
That's it.
So we'll get into the structured part in a minute, but I think first we'll hear from Josh, who has all the facts about Sir Lancelot.
By the way, just quick want to say, Nikita Mazepin showed a story of him doing some snowboarding. I hope he fell off. So anyway, I was going to talk to Tomo about it. I've already spoken to you, Emil, and Anthony. Tomo,
Josh,
you know how money is king in motorsport?
It tends
just
to be,
a bit.
Just a bit.
Just a bit, yeah.
Well, there's some stories about Sir Lancelot in motorsport. So over here for Toyota Racing Series, we've got the best team M2 competition. Like, it costs about $150,000 to do the season, and it's about 5 races over 5 weekends in January, February. So he comes over here and he partakes in the championship with the team. Spends a bit more money besides, because, he's got that luxury. And Lawrence also buys a new RV for the journey. And has all kinds of shit in a trailer that's sort of trailing him behind, and uses it for the 5-week journey. And sure enough, Lance wins the championship. He wins the New Zealand Grand Prix, and Lawrence has a look at how much it's going to cost to get the RV over to Europe. And he looks at the cost. He's like, "Nah, not doing that." Drives it to Auckland Airport. Leaves the keys in the footwell. Just leaves it there, buggers off to Canada. And I guess the reason I bring that story up is that there's just expenditure of money, just like, doesn't even bother selling it, just leaves it there. It's just, in my view, it's just awesome.
It's a
ball in animals.
And then there's also the flights. I know, Emil, you got a story about certain Uber Eats kind of stuff.
Yeah. I heard that in the Daddy's Cash 2 comment section, there was this woman who posted a story about Lance's favorite pizza place. It turns out he has a favorite pizza place in Montreal. So wherever he is in Canada, when he wants pizza, he wants it from there. So he has Lawrence order a helicopter to go to the place and get a pizza and then fly it to him.
Surely not.
Yeah. She worked at the pizza place, and they really did get orders from anywhere in Canada, and there would be a helicopter picking it up.
Helicopter,
And then,
bro.
more flight stories. You know how at Paul Ricard there's that airstrip next to the circuit? Lawrence doesn't have a private plane there. He has 2. So one's for carrying him and Lawrence. One's for carrying Lawrence and Lance to and fro the circuit, to the hotel or wherever they are. And the other private plane this is allegedly, it just takes the mother and the daughters over to Marseille to do their shopping or whatever. Just at will, at any time during the weekend. And then finally, you were talking about Prema. Okay. I'll tell you the story about Prema. So, I don't know if you saw the Nick Cassidy video I made. But
did.
I made it. Yeah, I made that, and I got.
Of course I did, Josh. Come
A
on.
large,
Of course I did.
a large, good to know you're a fan. Good to know you're a fan. Just saying, a large amount of people in the comments said, why didn't you mention the fact that Lance Stroll beat the crap out of Nick Cassidy in 2016? There's a reason I didn't talk about that, because it makes both Nick and Lance look pathetic. So, this is all paddock talk, okay? This is all stuff that you hear when you're within the paddock. So, 2015, what was I going to say? Nick wins the Japanese F3 Championship. He also competes periodically in Euro Formula 3 with Prema. Did pretty well there, and he also did very well at Macau. But like with most New Zealand racing drivers, he just didn't have any money. And so this apparently is what happened. Lawrence says to Nick, look, we'll pay your expenses for the year. You race with us for free. If it will give you €500,000 for the year, on the condition that you coach Lance and finish behind him.
Right.
And around this time, Lawrence also owned Prema, the team. Sold the shares a month after after Lance was announced at Williams. Got special engines from Mercedes, funded a new simulator at Williams, and the stories of the money around him, is just, it makes you go, what the hell? This is how much money matters in motorsport. But I've always found those stories to be really sort of funny, almost, because you know how rich that these guys are.
Yeah.
But it's what they spend the money on, which makes you go, even if I had all the money in the world, I wouldn't think to do any of this stuff.
No.
I mean, that's billionaire money over millionaire money. You know what I mean? Like you can be like rich and come from a privileged background and, you know, have a bit of money to go karting and whatever, like as most F1 drivers did do. But when you've got a billionaire, like that's just another level. But it's mad to think as well. We're probably going to talk about Mazepin at some point, but his dad is worth 3 times that of Lawrence Stroll.
Over 3 times.
Over 3 times. He's worth like 7.6 billion or something, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's amazing how much an oligarch makes when he can just make his competition disappear.
I mean, they probably order the same pizzas that Lance does. They just have him flown to Russia instead.
From Montreal. That's just mad. Although I still I feel like with that first story, the RV in Auckland. I mean, imagine. It might be funny. Like, imagine, you know, you've come across hard times. You know, you found yourself homeless, and you come across that. You know what I mean? Like, Jesus, having a field day, mate. That's like
could have lived in it.
That's the ultimate charity, isn't it?
So he didn't even bother to sell it. Like.
This is all. I should preface this by saying this is all paddock talk.
Allegedly,
nothing official. But
no.
The thing is this: when there's enough talk in the paddock, there's enough talk in the paddock from people that you trust, I just put it.
There's no smoke without fire. There's no smoke without fire.
Probably happened.
Exactamundo. But
Right.
Yeah, those are my stories about Lance Stroll.
There's probably more. We'll have for a few more podcasts in a short time. Yeah,
absolutely.
Let's. Should we get into the first topic?
Let's do that.
Right.
Go for it.
So hashtag 2020 F1 awards. So we're gonna give some awards to some of these lovely F1 drivers.
They're definitely watching.
They're definitely watching.
100% they're watching.
Hello.
So, I think we should. Yeah.
Lance isn't watching anymore.
He just turned it off. And Nikita's out as well. So we're pretty much just free to say whatever about them for the rest of the podcast.
Sweet.
They're not watching anymore. Right. So the first one is the second place crash of the year, since Grosjean's was definitely number 1. So what has been the second worst or the second most shocking crash of the year in your eyes?
Well, I think just because of how scary it looked from the onboards, I'd say Giovinazzi and Russell at Spa.
Yeah, it's Spa. Yeah, with the tire
That
flying.
one was pretty scary from George's perspective as well, because with all the tyre smoke and the wheel coming off the tether, it looked pretty terrifying. So that's probably second place for me. Could have been a lot worse, I think.
Yeah, I think I got a better one, though. Lance's crash at Magello.
That was pretty bad.
Almost
was,
went
like,
over the
shaking.
fence.
That was bad, yeah.
Like, that was, like, because people are like, why don't we go to places like Magello? Why don't they have gravel traps like they do at Magello? Well, it skips over the gravel trap. It doesn't stop the damn thing. And sure enough, went over the wall. Like, that, any
Such
faster,
a high-speed
I would
section
not
as
want
well.
to know. Yeah. So that was probably my one.
Yeah.
I mean, Magello definitely delivered on the crashes because you
Jesus,
had
And you
Charles's
had
one,
safety.
which was really bad. But no, I'm going to say that the restart with Bottas when everyone ploughed into each other. Surely that one, that's a few. Like, I reckon that's a few Halo saving as well, because you know what I mean. Like, when what was it, 2018, when Alonso went over Charles, and everyone was saying, oh, the Halo probably helped, but like, I reckon that saved Charles's life. And I reckon, like, you look at some of those onboards with like Latifi and that, and it's like, and Science, and I'm just like that was scary. That was insane. That one.
2020.
I feel bad for Latifi in that race. Man. He was doing damn well.
He was as well. He was.
And then he got Grosjean. Or was it? So whose fault was it actually?
I think it was
hard to say.
It was an Alpha, wasn't it? It was like what was it? Gio? I don't know. I'm not even sure. We'd have to watch it.
Rewatch it.
But really,
we've actually. Oh man, we've had some bad crashes this year.
There's
when
been
you really
many
think
crashes.
about it,
I had like a tiny list here. What does it say? We have like Stroll at Mugello and Leclerc at Monza. You remember like watching the race live, and then it cuts to Leclerc, and you just see him go
such a high speed one
into the wall. I was just like, wow, is he okay? Because you could see that was live. They wouldn't have just replayed it straight after.
No,
that was crazy. And then
even Danny Kvyat when he had that tire failure.
Oh the British Grand Prix
too.
Yeah.
Wow, that was
a big one.
And Stroll as well. I mean, even the Bahrain Grand Prix was like pretty much focused on Grosjean's crash, but Stroll crashing right after going upside down.
When that happened, it was like, stop the race.
Let's just stop the race already.
We've had enough.
This is bad.
But the most shocking one, which one should we award it to? We have to agree, kind of.
I feel like Magello was very shocking because there were so many cars. And that looked and even Grosjean said, like, what are they trying to do? Kill us?
It was such an unorthodox accident as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very strange.
You wouldn't see that because of the way Mugello set up with the long run up to the pit line. Like, I don't think it's Bottas's fault. Like, he's entitled to do what he wants to do. He didn't do anything wrong per se, but unfortunately, when you've got a long straight before the start finish line, that's inevitable, and that's kind of unique to Mugello. But obviously, Mugello's not a typical F1 track, so I think that probably wasn't considered, was it? But
yeah, we could just award it to Mugello. Just say Mugello was crash of the year, because there were
Mugello was crash of the year.
Mugello pile up, I think.
Like fucking 7 retirements or so. It's crazy. Nice. So on to the next
Alex
award.
Podium. Yay.
Oh yeah, Alex Podium. That was refreshing. Mugello was.
It took 7 drivers retiring for Alex to get a podium.
Yeah.
Don't take away from his podium. Don't take away from his podium.
I think Marco already knows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I still haven't got over it.
All right. So the second award we have is Quali Lap of the Year. And I have a few examples if you're having trouble remembering the good ones. So Gasly qualifying P4 at Imola with Albon P6 and Kvyat P8. And then Leclerc P4 at Sakir with Vettel P13. That was a pretty good lap. And then, of course, Stroll's pole and Hulkenberg third at the 70th anniversary Grand Prix.
I'm going to say
with the pace deficit of that Ferrari for Charles to do that. I think we all saw him get that position, and we're just like, what?
Yeah,
it didn't make sense.
How would you do that?
And Crofty forgot about the pole. It was just like, wow.
Yeah, you bring up the other ones. Gasly, for sure, that was a good one. Not quite on the level as Leclerc. And I mean, Lance, with the greatest of respects, it was a fantastic drive in the wet weather conditions, but I think there was so many variables during that qualifying that it was more just about being in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, the track evolving so much. Yeah. It was just like the last one to qualify.
Red Bull on the wrong tyres and Checo doing something. I don't know what it was. I can't remember what it was. I think he got caught up in Giovinazzi being himself. So I think when there's so many variables in that regard, it's hard to give the accolade to that. But with Charles, I think we all collectively just went, what?
Yeah.
How did you do that?
Yeah.
100%.
Crofty's, he said, like, how did he do that? Who knows?
That was actually
Who cares?
That was actually Brundle.
Right?
Yes.
That's the one that immediately came to mind even before you went through the options. Charles's one. P4.
Yeah.
Mad.
I'd agree.
That's ridiculous.
But credits to Hulk for the P3 at the frickin' 70th.
That is mad.
But that's kind of legendary, isn't it? Just kind of just showing your face briefly in the sport. Just being like, hey, I can do P3.
Yeah.
Don't mind me. I'm just here on the sidelines.
I want to add one. I want to add Lewis Hamilton Spa.
Yeah.
I think this was a massive lap and also a dedication to Chadwick from Black Panther, which I thought was a nice little... And it was a very good lap, so I'm a big fan of Lewis's qualifying lap. So
I was completely blown away. He did Puhan flat, like the first time I've ever seen an F1 car do Puhan flat. It was crazy. 7th gear through that freaking left-hander is mad.
Crazy.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's enjoyable to watch. Very good.
It's easy to look past Lewis's laps because he's just so good, so consistent.
He does it, consistent. Yeah,
it's hard to kind of. It's like what's the gap between him and Bottas? But yeah, he's put in some absolute unreal performances like this year.
Crazy.
Like that lap is kind of like the Singapore 2018 one, like the legendary Lewis lap of the year.
It's true.
Just like the car's just so connected with the car. The car's so connected to the track.
The car's so connected with the car.
Yeah, the car. Yeah, it's just the car.
It helps. It helps.
It's just the car.
But I saw someone post on one of the F1 Instagram accounts post a quote from George, and it was something along the lines of whatever you want the car to do, it will do, which is like the polar opposite of the Ferrari. But that's kind of what he came away from saying about the Mercedes, obviously not the Williams. Whatever, which I think again is a testament to Mercedes and what they've delivered as well, and just that combination of Lewis and Mercedes is just
but still
absolutely unbeatable.
In a massive part of developing it as well.
Well, if you remember when Ferrari built the F2004, the car was so good that they investigated why it was so good.
Yeah.
It's it's just, but Mercedes, they've done it so well for so many years. I mean, it's good to watch, I guess. I mean, it can get boring, but I don't know. It's just crazy domination.
It's part of the spectacle, though, isn't it? It's part of like what makes this sport unique to not just other sports but other motorsports. It's like that fact that is a whole variable on its own, and it makes it much more of a team sport. I think I feel like we look at F1 too much, which I understand because you've got 20 drivers and it's very easy to be invested in those drivers, but it is much more of a team sport than it is an individual sport. And I think it should be. And again, individuals can get accolades in football, for example you've got the Ballon d'Or and that, but the main thing is the team championship, you know what I mean? And that's kind of, but because we're so drawn to the drivers and that, we look at it as more of a, whereas it's not really, compared to a spec series like F2, which is much more of an individual championship. Unless you're of course Lance Stroll and have lots of money.
You have to feel a personal connection as well. I mean, you could pretty much only do that with one team representative, and that'd be the team principal, right? Because who else would represent the team? Like, there's 1,000 people working for Mercedes.
Yeah, that's
who would you root for, except for like the team boss or the driver? That's pretty much the options.
Yeah.
But Leclerc or Hamilton, one of those two.
I'll say, you know what, Leclerc, because the Ferrari's a shitbox.
No, I rate that shout though.
Yeah,
I rate that shout. But I think Leclerc should take it.
Runner-up is probably Hamilton.
Yep.
Nice. All right, on to the next award. So stolen win / podium / points of the year. And there are many options here. I've written down, I think, 10 options. So there's Checo in Bahrain with the engine failure. And there's Bottas in the British Grand Prix where he had the tire failure. And then Albon at the Austrian Grand Prix with Hamilton playing a tiny part.
Don't remind me, please.
And Russell losing it under the safety car at Imola. And then both Russell and Bottas at the Sakir Grand Prix. And then, of course, Lewis. You could say Lewis at the Sakir Grand Prix as well. I mean, missing
Vettel in Turkey.
missing like 40 consecutive point-scoring rounds or so. Just crazy.
And Lewis at Monza as well, I reckon.
Yep, Lewis at Monza. Just that penalty.
Seb in Turkey.
Lance in Turkey.
Ooh,
Probably could have gotten the win.
Yes.
Ooh, interesting one, this.
And Paris at Imola with the late call for new tires where he could have gotten the podium.
Oh yes. With
Damn.
with them calling him in to try and ward off the attack, which was not going to come from Renault. Yes, of course, that blunder.
And he did that like, that's not mad, that's disappointed, like radio at the end.
He did, didn't he?
Oh, so many options. How?
This is difficult.
Look, for me, I would say George and Sakir, because he pretty much like. I mean, especially when he made that move on Bottas, going into that shithouse chicane. That's pretty catchy, isn't it? Shithouse chicane.
Coin that.
Name it that.
Yeah, but I mean, just he asserted himself in that race as the guy.
Yep.
Only for the Mercedes Netflix curse to be going on.
Yep.
Which you got to feel a lot of sympathy for him for. So
fair.
Yeah, I'd probably agree.
I'd choose that.
That's the first one that comes to mind. But Albon at Austria, I think he could have gotten the win. You know, he was really on for the win.
Come on. Albon's the Emil Hiskey of Formula One.
Josh, wash your mouth out, bruv. Come on. Look, no, I would say Albon Austria, because I think that not only was that, obviously, again, he was on softs, he was definitely going to get second, quite possibly first with the tyre advantage. But in terms of a result that had the biggest knock-on effect, look, we'll never know if he was able to convert that result, how his season would have panned out, because the confidence that comes from winning your first race. Do I think it would have been amazing? No. But in terms of how that could have potentially, how the season would have altered for him from then on, if that hadn't have happened, I think that I think George was more unlucky on his day because he had the two massive bad bits of luck. But I think in terms of how that result panned out and just, didn't destroy the rest of his season, but it would have been such an amazing start for him to then take that confidence and push on. Yeah. And because it didn't happen, all of a sudden now he's, everything's happened, and he's, unfortunately, he was rightfully replaced. I'm the first to admit that, even though I love Alex. Like, you can't ignore.
You can't have a driver with no confidence either in Red Bull.
Yeah,
like precisely. If he loses his confidence early in the season, and he had none of it, like, you could just tell.
Listen, if a four-time world champion in Sebastian Vettel can be in a car that doesn't work for him and he can't perform, then so can Sergio Perez. I'm just saying, like, there's no guarantee of
just
Sergio's success there.
Early on.
Absolutely.
Seb has
they're
no
all human. They're just human. They're human. Yep. Like, we look at these people as androids and machines who can just do it all the time, but it's just not. It's not a fact of life. Like, they're all individuals. But in terms, that's why I would say I would vote for Alex, just because of how yeah, things could have been so different. Oh, it pains me so much. I can't. Oh, and you're next. I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. I also think, like, even if we want to go further back to Brazil, that podium would, like, or even he could have gotten a win. That would have changed everything. Like, but I do think if he did get that podium earlier this season, a good start would have gone a long way. Yeah, probably. Yeah, I don't know. I'm with Tomo on this one, actually. The way, I don't know.
I sold it. See?
Yeah,
you sold it great. I think you kind of outnumbered Josh here.
Yeah, actually, now I'm going to side with Tomo on this as well. My vote is for Emil Heskey.
Great celebration as well.
I'm on a really, really bad note here with you, aren't I, Tomo? New Year's resolution, piss off Tomo. It only took me 2 days.
It didn't even, 1.5 days.
I'm in a constant state of pissed off with you, Josh.
Oh, I love you too.
That was the alarm that I didn't wake up to this morning. It's your voice going, oh.
Nice. Yeah. The early bird Tomo.
yeah.
Sweet.
Sure. So the award for biggest stolen win /point/podium of the year is Albon in Austria. He wins that.
With Vettel in Turkey coming to a close second, only because Ferrari treated him like trash all year, and just to steal that podium
from Leclerc.
From his teammate.
That was like the positive steal. There's the negative. There's the loss,
wholesome.
and then the
It wasn't positive for Charles though.
No,
I am stupid. I am so stupid. I'm so fucking stupid.
He just loves that word, doesn't he?
Stupid. Nice.
Yeah, so I think we'll go for Alex simply because he doesn't have a seat. So let's just give him this.
Let's feel sorry
he
for
can
him.
take.
That confidence to get beating there.
A sympathy win.
Sympathy win, yeah. Then we go on to Ballsy one, the bad career move of the year, and we have a few nominations. You're welcome to bid in if you have any good ones too. But I have written down Mazepin, Grabgate, we all know, and Verstappen, the Mongolia Gate. Remember?
Yes.
And then Sainz going to Ferrari. Could that be a bad career move? Who knows?
Could be.
And then there is Bottas.
Depending upon how this year's go.
True.
Max with Kellygate.
Ooh, Kellygate. Ooh, yes.
Yes.
I'm going to stay away from that stuff.
And then
Yes.
we have Bottas spinning 6 times in Turkey.
Oh.
That's probably not the best career move.
That's not good.
It's a tough one.
I've got one to add.
Let's hear it.
So I'd like to say that the team Haas as a whole have made a bad career move by signing Nikita.
Have you seen the statement from Jack and Jones?
Nah.
They've obviously they were Kevin Magnussen's personal sponsor, and now they've departed from Haas. And literally the day after they finished, they put a statement out on Twitter, basically saying like, we don't condone Nikita Mazepin, blah blah blah. So they've been the first actual kind of company affiliated with Haas. They're not any longer affiliated with Haas, to come out and say something about it. So
when was the last time something like this happened in Formula 1, where a sponsor needed to distance themselves from a certain driver?
Oh my, that's a tough one.
Oh, that's a really good question.
There was like a case of violence in the 90s. Who was it? You'd remember, Josh.
Jos.
Yeah, Jos, of course.
Yeah. I mean, for God's sake, Jos gets in shit all the time. He bloody well throws people in front of carts and runs people down in his own car. Like, I mean, just that's Jos being Jos. But yeah, I mean, definitely his stuff wouldn't stand nowadays. Okay, bad career move.
I mean, for me, I think like Mazepin's
F1 to Saudi Arabia.
Oh, that's true. F1's
Saudi
bad
Arabia,
career move.
F1 bad career move.
Yeah. Maybe we should ask Nico Rosberg, since he knows when everyone's career is over.
That's true. Yeah. Damn, we should have got him on. he was available, but he just I didn't think you'd be interested. So.
He was busy. He was eating caviar in Monaco today. So.
Now, the thing is with I think Mazepin's, everyone was skeptical beforehand anyway when the rumours started, because obviously the rumours of him going to Haas started way before the incident. But obviously this is just completely like no one gave him a chance anyway, and now this has happened, and it's just like it's literally killed any support he's going to have dead in the water straight away. Absolute, like with the lack of like any kind of accountability or him taking any seeming responsibility for it. It's just
deleting the apology. It's terrible.
It wasn't even it's just no.
Half-assed.
I think Mazepin has to take the honour, because for me it's just like just he hasn't even started yet, and it's just completely like, yes, there's been controversial moments and that with like what Max said and that, but ultimately I think this is just on another level.
Haas are a one-car team next year. I think everyone knows that.
Yeah, it is. You got to wonder, like you were saying, Josh, in terms of the power of the Lawrence money, and when you think how Dimitri is 3 times richer than Lawrence,
Well, I mean, look, Tom.
Money talks.
This is very simple, Tom. people that piss off Lawrence Stroll get a message from him saying, "I'm extremely angry." People who piss off Dimitri Mazepin disappear. So like. That's
we're all fucked.
Sort of where
we're
the line goes.
Guys.
Hey, they stopped someone driving in the 80s because they were affiliated with Pablo Escobar, but they won't stop this guy. So,
because if F1 removes Mazepin removes F1.
It's true.
The conundrum.
It's true. Just all of a sudden, everything just disappears. All the social accounts are down. All the team accounts are down. Everything's just gone. That is, and that's the corruption that unfortunately has plagued our sport forever, and continues to, which is just the sad reality of it, isn't it?
Yeah, but he really did blow the only chance he didn't have, didn't he?
Absolutely. Well, that's why he's still got a seat somehow.
Got a seat,
seemingly. So, but I think in the eyes of the fans, it'll always be an uphill battle for him to recover any sense of support. He's gonna. If he's got any chance, he's gonna have to. It's gonna take a while, and he's gonna have to.
He's got to rescue people in a burning building and save the world from an asteroid to get back on the good side.
Or just find like a
bare minimum.
Bare minimum. Bare minimum. He's got to save the world to get a little bit of support back.
Yeah. It's just sad, isn't it? It's just disappointing, really.
Yeah, it's Formula One. It's just money talks. It's been for
it's the whole situation
since its inception.
Word. Yep. All right. Bad career move of the year is definitely Mazepin.
Yep.
And then we have good career move of the year, and that could be like, I don't know, Alonso joining Renault. It's a pretty okay move, I think.
Good for Alonso, definitely.
Yeah, they're getting better at the high speed tracks, and Tsunoda getting first and second place in the Bahrain or the Sakir Grand Prix F2 round. I think that would have helped his contract negotiations.
Absolutely. So I was actually looking at so if you take away the reverse grid sprint races, Tsunoda wins the championship. So in terms of, and obviously with the reverse grid, there's always a driver clearly hasn't earned a victory in a reverse grid sprint race if they start on pole and finish 8th. You know what I mean? In the same way that they earn it, I feel, in the full race. So actually in those, like Tsunoda, as much as he didn't, because he ended up being, I think he was only a point behind Ilott in the end.
15 points behind Mick, actually.
Yeah, so actually, like he did bits at the end to almost catch up and could have, but the caliber of that F2 season was mad. Fair play for him as a rookie as well, doing so well.
I'm mad of 2 seasons.
For sure.
There could be other moves, other good career moves. Daniel Ricciardo to McLaren.
Yeah, Ricciardo to McLaren is pretty good, I reckon.
Yeah. Sainz is jealous.
I wouldn't want Ricciardo being teammates with Alonso. I feel like Alonso. I feel like Alonso is obviously too. Like, I want to say a control freak, but I don't because I like Alonso.
Imagine Alonso and Max though.
He's a powerful person, I guess. Powerful personality, Alonso.
Yeah.
So I'd rather, like, Daniel Ricciardo got out of Red Bull. I think McLaren is probably a good option for him. I think him and Lando Norris will have a good dynamic. McLaren look like a pretty good team as well. That look like they've got good people. So it'll be interesting at the Australian Grand Prix. We'll see a lot of orange, I reckon. So,
yeah, absolutely. Nice. The Seidel effect, I think.
Yeah.
Andreas Seidel is just, for me, I think he's the next Ross Brawn for me. I rate him so highly, and I think as much as they've got to go through, obviously the difficulty is the transition to the Mercedes engine. Yes, they're getting a better power plant, but they're going to have to use a lot of development tokens to get that in, which may affect other parts of the car negatively. But I think long game, Daniel's in a good spot. Just trying to think who else good moves. Maybe Vettel to Aston Martin.
We don't know how that's going to play out yet. It could be a completely disastrous affair. Like that's the thing. A lot of these things are hypotheticals. At least with Alonso, we know he'll drag the most out of the car that he can, because I mean, whatever you think of him as a character, we know that he can always drag the best out of the car.
Yeah.
So that's a given. But with Seb, I mean, just with the greatest respect, I don't know what Seb we're going to get this year.
No, no one does. Like, I think people can claim like, oh, Seb's going to be, but again, it's exactly the same with Perez at Red Bull. Everyone thinks Perez is going to do amazing, but we just don't know that.
But we also thought that Gasly was going to do amazing after his year in AlphaTauri.
He earned that call up to Red Bull. Gasly, he earned that.
And Perez earned the call up
fully on merit.
And Alpine earned the call up.
And obviously, yes, Perez has been able to prove himself and has got more experience than them too. So I do believe he will do better. But again, that Red Bull dynamic, the focus on Max, the fact that second seat, there's clearly, like, again, no smoke without fire. You can't have two young drivers who have proven they've got ability struggle so much, without there being some kind of inherent issue there. But I feel like Seb had to go to a team like Aston Martin, otherwise his career would have been dead in the water, to be honest.
Would have got really, really ugly.
As soon as if he would go to Alpha, like as soon as he went there, he'd just end up like Kimi, going nowhere from there.
Yeah.
It's all downhill from there.
Absolute best case scenario played out, I think. For Seb. So I would say Seb personally.
Yeah, definitely.
Also, image-wise, I mean, it's pretty cool to have like the four-time world champion going to a new team that is going to be Aston Martin. Just completely new.
Yeah, it's cool.
Fresh image. It's pretty nice.
The thing is it's worked out so, because I think Perez got a payout from Racing Point because of his contract, and he won a race, and he's now in a Red Bull. So it's literally Perez's 2020 has gone from, like, when he got dropped by Racing Point, everyone was like, oh my god, like, he's got the worst luck, and now all of a sudden everything's turned around and he's absolutely must be loving life right now, Sergio. And rightly so. He deserves it.
For now, we'll just see what happens when the season gets underway.
Exactly. I will be fascinated to see how that turns out. I'm very, very interested to see how that plays out.
It's the ultimate case of will he sink or swim? Will he sink or swim?
You got to remember, he's been at that team for 7 years, Racing Point, in Force India, whatever. So he's had that stability. He's had that. Obviously, that car has gone through the different, like, it used to be a high rate car, more like the Red Bull. Then they kind of changed the philosophy, didn't they, to more like Mercedes. So he's got experience, and it's just, you're very interested to see how that plays out.
I'm with you. I'd say Vettel to Aston Martin. Best career move.
Definitely. Yeah, for sure. Best case scenario for Seb.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice.
And the next one is you're on home soil here, Tomo. It's best helmet of the year.
My forte.
Yep.
Well, I've already put mine out there into the world.
Yep.
I think the Carlos side's mean. It's such a nice helmet. The matte kind of dark grey / black, very, very dark grey, with the glossy red and yellow from the Spanish flag. It's just so nice. Bit of me that, but there's some quality ones knocking about. There are some bangers this year, so plenty to choose from, boys.
I'm gonna go Giovinazzi Magello.
Same.
Of course, you would pick Gio.
Yeah, that's really,
Is that the
one.
blue, the light blue one?
Yeah, the light blue.
That was beautiful.
Very, very nice helmet, I think.
And his Imola one as well was really cool. That was like the retro one with the circles.
Yep.
Yeah, that was
Definitely.
lovely.
Just his Italian ones were really good.
Giovinazzi's helmets are really nice. Like,
they're good.
He's got a good designer.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm a Senna stan, so I'll go with Gasly's Imola helmet.
Oh, the Senna one. Nice.
That was a good one too.
It was so good. It sucks that they
was
have
cool.
to put the AlphaTauri logo there. They could be so much more clean.
Yeah.
In my eyes.
Yeah, it's annoying that they have those restrictions.
Yeah.
It's like when a driver is like, "Oh, what should I do with my helmet?" Red Bull and AlphaTauri are like, "Oh, you mean our helmet?"
Yeah. Soviet thing.
Max has proper rebelled with his, hasn't he? It's like bright white, and the Red Bull, you can barely see the Red Bull logo because it's like so bright and like glossy.
Yeah, he does what he can.
What, do you think they're going to argue with him?
No, they won't.
There we go. That's it. That's Max pulling rank. Whereas
Max.
Alex's is literally just a Red Bull branded helmet. Although I do think it's really nice. But yeah.
Yeah.
What about all of Lando's helmets?
Yeah, he had the good.
I like the
ones.
pizza helmet. The pizza helmet was pretty cool.
Was that Magello as well?
Yeah, I think that's one of the Italian ones. Yeah.
What about the Silverstone Norris one?
Oh yeah, the child drawing, that was so awesome.
That was cool. Yeah.
That was cool. That
Or
was really
Grosjean's Abu
his,
Dhabi's proposed
final
helmet.
Yeah.
Or
Yes.
What was George Russell's recent one?
The one with the
blue pinstripe,
with the
and
9
white pin.
cars on top.
That was sick.
That was
The Williams
nice.
tribute. That was so cool. And
Yeah,
then
the
also I
Williams
think
tribute.
Vettel had that diversity helmet with like all the people on the side.
Are we ever
Like a
going to
kind of
decide on
grade
a helmet here? There's so many good ones.
It's
And there was,
impossible to choose.
Vettel's one for Styria was beautiful because it was like it's this regular white with the German flag over, but then it had like really fine. It had all that topographic map of like the area around Styria.
Oh yeah,
and
that one.
It was so nice. It's just like that's for me. That was his best one. Like that was just clean as a whistle. Yeah. And Hulkenberg's pink one, so nice, so sick. Love that.
The one
helmet.
they finally had made.
Yeah, that one was alright.
I love that helmet. That was for me. That's top 2.
I guess
Top
it's
two.
like personal preference. I guess.
This is totally personal. We can't agree on this one.
What are your so and yours is Giovinazzi.
Yep.
Josh, yours is
The Senna tribute
Senna
for
tribute.
Gasly.
And Emil, yours is
Yeah, I guess I'd have to go with the Senna one. Gasly's
okay.
Senna
Senna wins then.
Senna wins. Okay.
I can accept that.
one. Nice.
So
Democracy.
Democracy at play.
Nice.
Exactly.
And then let's move on. Let's move on
Lovely.
to the last one. Actually, this is the last award we have for 2020, and that is Strategy Call of the Year. And this is hard to remember, hard to choose. I have a few ones. I remember Verstappen at the 70th GP.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was
Because he won the
just
race,
a
it made it
masterclass.
much
And
sweeter.
He overcut Hamilton, and then he just came
Overtook
out of the pits,
Bottas,
just
wasn't it?
swooping past Bottas. That was pretty
past
sick.
Bottas. Yeah, that was
And
good.
just on one step, and
It
then
was
we
even
had,
better. Yeah, even better that he won the race. I feel like just added to it. Yeah,
Yeah, because the
definitely.
midfield strategies sometimes are just masterclasses, but we won't see them as much as the winners. And then I got a few here actually. We got Vettel's one stop at the Spanish Grand Prix, the one where he became key strategist, going 36 laps on softs.
I wasn't expecting a Ferrari to make this list, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. Ferrari strategy. I mean, it's Vettel strategy, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
But and he finished P7. And then we have Hamilton at Portugal, where he got down to third in the first 6 laps, but then he stayed out on the same tires until lap 41 and did a one-stop and, of course, won the race. And then we have Gasly at Monza. I suppose there was some luck involved. But
there
still,
was a little bit of luck there.
but still,
it was more about. I'm not sure if it was more strategy or
more
rearranging the parabolica.
Yeah,
I think it was probably the latter.
Yeah,
I mean, I thought of that one too, but it was just more when you really think about it.
Yeah,
he was just lucky.
And probably down to him actually keeping like proper defending in the end from Sainz.
Yeah, and
then,
not locking up and going off the track while in the lead. Lance.
And then we have Leclerc at the first round in Austria.
Yeah.
From 7th till 2nd in the freaking shitbox Ferrari. Using all 3 compounds as well. And then Sakir for Paris. Maybe the 2 Mercedes retiring is just played a tiny
irrespective
part.
Though, you think of
but still, he would have been on the podium.
Accomplished.
He would have been on the podium from 20th.
What he did. Oh, is that more the drive or is that the strategy?
I don't know, because still the team had to keep him out for plus 40 laps on mediums and softs, I think. Or he started on softs. He finished on hards, didn't he?
Was this in the same race where Lance... How long did Lance go on those softs for? It was like, what, 40 laps? Something like that? I was like, how is he managing those damn things?
I don't know, man.
And right as soon as I saw that, he locked up and lost the position to Perez, which was, sad irony. But
I've got one that hasn't been mentioned.
Let's hear it.
Shoot.
I'm gonna say Magnussen at Hungary.
Yes.
When Haas pulled him in, and he managed to get. I was just checking. Yeah. He got a point, even though he got that stupid penalty. He still managed to get a point, and that was all on Haas with the strat. And that was for me, Magnussen is thoroughly underrated. I think he definitely give him a good car, and he would definitely perform comfortably perform in F1. That was an amazing call from Haas, and that got him a point as well, which they didn't get many this year. So I'm going to say that.
Call. I agree, actually. And Haas would have known they'd get the penalty from that. That was just mega gamble.
It was weird, wasn't it? Because it was like just how it's worded. Because they can't. Yeah. But the rule isn't in place to stop stuff like that. But they just happen to get caught up in that rule, I think.
Yeah. Still getting 1 point. It's kind of a masterclass in just late calls. Yeah, I'd agree with you.
A combination of that shout from Haas and just Magnussen. He had a really good drive. I remember that race. He kept a lot of cars behind him for a long time that he needed to. So,
word. I'm with you, man.
That gets my vote.
Yeah.
Right. So the Dane.
I was going to say, Dane, just for you. Just for you.
Nice. So that rounds off the awards. So I'll have them here in the middle. In the editing.
That's great.
Here they are. Everyone. Nice. Oh, man. So let's move on.
Oh, man.
To a fun part, I think, of this podcast, which is going to be the F1 dilemmas.
Oh.
And I heard that Anthony, you have a really good dilemma.
Yes, about Mattia Binotto.
Mattia Binotto.
All right.
We are looking. That's not the team says, let's be fair. That's the race. Sorry, Andy, carry on.
All right, so you are Mattia in 2021. But during pre-season testing, Ferrari made the shock decision to replace Mattia with none other than Günther Steiner. Meaning, you have been demoted to Alfa Romeo to deal with poor performances and the Mazepin media circus. Ferrari are willing to take you back, but not as a team principal. You have a less powerful role in the team at Ferrari, and you aren't really involved much at all. Do you, A, return to Ferrari and kind of get forgotten about, or B, stay team principal at Alfa Romeo, but be plagued with a stressful life all day, every day, or C, explore your options and pitch your services to a different team?
D, just quit altogether.
Quit altogether? I mean,
you can do that if you want to.
Just return to the Ghostbusters, man. Come on. You are not cut out to be team principal of Ferrari.
but he used to play a big role, but like in the background, didn't he? Being chief technical officer.
Yeah, in the background. Until he showed his head and then it all went wrong.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like going, if he returned to that kind of low key, like we forget he was a fundamental like part of that team throughout the Schumacher dominance, and he was Barrichello's race engineer for a long time, and he's achieved a lot in the sport. And it's just like you say, Josh, like is a team principal role for him. It doesn't appear to be. If you know the guy who I can't remember his name, the guy who just left Ferrari, who's like the CEO.
Louis Camara.
That's it. Yeah. He was like he was Binotto's biggest fan. So now, obviously, with him leaving, we don't know if the new people in charge might kick him out anyway. So maybe this will actually become reality. But yeah, I don't know. It's tricky.
Who's that guy that runs the GT program for Ferrari? What's his name again? I can't remember. But the point is, he looks like someone who's had experience in the mafia. That's the person you need for Ferrari. You need someone
he looks kind of like a guy who smokes cigars.
Ferrari has always been a team that need be run by a dictator that knows what he's doing. Ruling with that iron fist, pretty much.
Yeah.
But Matty has had a lot of success before in the past, but success does not guarantee success in the future in a different role, especially.
Absolutely.
So, he's, irrespective of whether it was him or someone else, he's allowed the environment to get to how it is right now within the team. So, I like that. Okay, who's getting arrested?
That's what ambulances sound like over here, just so you know.
Oh, okay. Who's fainted? Josh's opinion's so good. Who fainted? At the end of the day, I really do think that Mattia, for the good of the team, needs to flee into exile.
Oops.
Yeah.
Ouch.
I think him taking a more low key role, I think would be the best move personally. But what's mad to think is that James Allison, the man who's credited for most of Mercedes' success with that car, used to work for Ferrari, and they nabbed him. Imagine how things could have been so different. I feel like Ferrari need some non-Italian, like Seidel coming in. Seidel would have been amazing at Ferrari.
Yeah,
I feel like they missed a trick not getting him. I really do.
Yeah.
I think I would say low key role at Ferrari, just doing what he does best.
Yeah. Imagine Cyril at Ferrari.
No.
There's too much passion, too much energy.
It's so impulsive.
Honestly, I don't know. I don't know how much Seidel talk you've heard of him when he speaks to the drivers and that. But he's I don't know if you heard on the radio after Abu Dhabi.
So serious.
Yeah, it was just like, well done. Good luck next year.
Thank you for your work.
But sometimes you need that. You know. Sometimes you need that.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
But I think Mattia is a big brain boy, but he's just not a leader. All the leaders are pretty much not very technical people. Of course, they know the technical stuff, but Mattia is strictly technical. He's like
it's a
mathematical
different skill set
face.
entirely.
Yeah.
So, same. I agree with Tamo. Low-key role in Ferrari, technical development, and he'd be acing it.
Sick.
Nice. What did you do? What would you do, Anthony? You'd do the same?
Yeah, I'd definitely do that. I wouldn't want to. I do think he's better in taking the back seat a little bit. The Ferrari team principal role is it's been a bit of a topic for a while now. It's definitely not easy.
It's the Red Bull second seat of team principal.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, actually.
Poison chalice.
Which, yeah, I'd just take a back seat, go back to what I was good at, and wouldn't want to deal with a constant media circus.
Oh, mate, I can imagine.
Really? Yeah. Nice. First dilemma down. Then I have a good one for the second one. So, you're Lewis Hamilton in August 2021.
Sir Lewis Hamilton.
And you've just signed for 3 years at Mercedes, but you're third in the championship, and Mercedes is third in constructors. Something's gone wrong, and they're behind McLaren in second and Red Bull in first. The Mercedes package is massively underwhelming, as removing the DAS system caused balance issues in the car. So Merc expects to win the championship again in 2023, which is your third year under the new contract. But McLaren have just offered you a 1-year contract. So what do? Do you rip apart the contract with Mercedes, causing issues with the team you once loved? Do you stay with Mercedes, though you know you'll struggle next year as well? Do you search for a contract with other teams, maybe? Or do you quit F1?
I would say, if I'm Lewis Hamilton, or not if I am Lewis Hamilton, but what I think Lewis Hamilton would... am I putting myself in Lewis's shoes? Because the thing is, he's got so much else going on. I don't think that Lewis would be prepared to stay in F1 if it wasn't fighting for championships at the very top. And I think if he didn't feel confident in that package to be able to challenge for championships, I think he's out, because I think he's got loads of other things that he's very interested in. He's got his Extreme E team that he started. He's got all his fashion stuff. He's got all his environmental activism. He's got a lot of other, pies as
all over the
such.
place.
Yeah, so I feel like there wouldn't be if he couldn't be guaranteed a package that's going to fight at the top, then I think he'd see the season out and then leave. That's what I think.
I'd go back to McLaren, make the big return happen.
That would be sick.
End the career
with Mercedes
there.
engines, honestly, with Mercedes engines, that would be
start your career at Mercedes. Start your career at McLaren, and then you end it at McLaren. It's a beautiful story.
Yeah,
that little Ricardo Hamilton shoey was a little insight into potential future there. But it's nice because actually, like, McLaren's, I feel like part of the reason Lewis left McLaren in the first place is because it was so corporate, and Ron Dennis was very, authoritarian, and like it feels like the vibe of that team with Zach Brown coming in and the change in management has changed it to a completely different environment. And I don't know how Lewis would imagine Lewis alongside Lando Norris as teammates. Like, would that bring out Lewis's character a bit? I don't know, because it feels like he's very professional, and he's very I don't know. We don't see. I feel like I would. I mean, I rate Lewis massively as a driver, but I wouldn't call myself a fan of him just because I don't feel like I see that side of him, But I feel like it is there, and maybe McLaren would bring that out as well, which would be lovely.
True, because Bottas is more anonymous, but still he's more satiric than Lewis is. Lewis really just doesn't care for making fun of things, and really at McLaren they're just joking all the time, honestly.
Yeah.
And even their whole social media image is just based on being fun and being the entertaining Formula One team.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And that makes them relatable, I feel that's why they have so many fans.
Yep.
Yeah, it's difficult.
Yeah,
Joshy?
I'd quit if I was...
Come on, Josh. Josh, you've been quiet for too long, mate. Come on. What's going on here? That little Kiwi head of
I
yours.
take that as a compliment.
Just deep in thought.
As a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, how do you know McLaren's going to be challenging for the title for the next year? For that 1 year contract which he signs for, what's the guarantee?
None.
You know, it's a case of you either take the gamble in Woking for the year, or you stay in wherever this freaking Merc team is based, and try your, look. Sorry, I got an email at the same time. Sorry about that. No, so
Another brand deal.
There. No. Okay, so McLaren. Yeah, except for this one, I don't know if I really want to be advertising a rabbit. So look. At the end of the day, McLaren is not a given for how they're going to perform. You don't know how they're going to perform next year. Yeah, sure, they're second in this year. Where they're going to be next year, I'm not quite sure. At least with Mercedes, you're aware of what you're going to get per se.
Because you're inside the team.
If you're still with the team going through to 2023, where they say they're going to win the title, then at least you're sort of guaranteed that shot at the title. Whereas if you have a 1 year contract which will not be extended with a team that may not be in contention for a title in that year, what have you done?
Yeah.
It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation.
Yeah.
But I'm a glass half empty kind of guy. That's why I'm a miserable bastard. But at the same time, that allows me to sort of see things from a different perspective, and for that reason, I think I would stay with Merc here.
Yep.
3 different answers there.
Nice.
Looks like Emil, you're the casting vote, maybe.
Yeah,
Unless you go for something different.
If I were Lewis, I'd be like, okay, you know what? I've had fun. Finish at Merc. I loved it there, and then stay friendly with the team. I mean, you'd rip apart a contract anyhow. But I think, didn't Nico Rosberg do that as well? Yeah. And he's still pretty cool with the Merc.
He did drop the bomb, didn't he?
He did drop the bomb. Then drop the bomb Nico style. Maybe not after the title, but just drop the bomb. I mean, it's Lewis Hamilton.
Just like Rosberg to the world on social media. I've decided to retire from Formula 1, and the Merc representatives at the back of the meeting room are just like, oh shit. What are you telling I honestly
we need
would
someone,
love that.
Battery.
I seriously would have loved that to be the situation where he was at that FIA sort of media meeting thing, and then he announced that he's going to retire from Formula 1, and you just have representatives from Mercedes, just going, fuck, what are we going to tell Toto?
Yeah.
Toto, have you heard about Nico? No, what's he done? Just
good enough.
He's just quit on us. Hello. I just that was so abrupt, but
yep.
I do wonder actually. I do wonder if Nico hadn't dropped that so suddenly, and if Mercedes had more time, if they would have still gone for Valtteri. I don't know. What do you think? Did you think
it was? I know it was down between him and Pascal Wehrlein.
Was it?
But
yeah.
I mean, the thing is this: like, it was a case of Valtteri at that time had driven for Williams since 2013, whereas Wehrlein had only driven with he only drove with Manor. That was it. So it was better to go with
And Valtteri had done well in the Mercedes as well.
Yeah, I mean, he was outclassing Massa, which is no mean feat, even for all the mental scarring of the Ferrari years. He was still damn good in that Williams. Through the mental pounding of being pegged with Eyebrow Man, he still managed to do extremely well in the Williams. So, I mean, at the time, definitely it was the right decision to make. It would have been different had Wehrlein been in that seat. It's really hard to tell because I think Wehrlein is someone who would more go for the gap in the race, if you know what I mean. Valtteri, like anyone who would question Valtteri's pace is kidding themselves. It's just a matter of who would go for the gap, who would have the mental edge in the race, and I think Wehrlein would have had that. Had that over Valtteri. but it ultimately came down to experience. So I don't think, in this instance, the timing of Rosberg's departure would have meant too much more.
But
I think it was always going to be destined to be Bottas.
But if then Rosberg took like 2 more seasons, just fighting for the title with Lewis in 2017, and then maybe quitting at the end there, wouldn't it have been like Ocon getting the sign up?
Possibly.
Because Ocon was just like a really big prospect that year.
Yeah,
and then people were like, when he retired from or like when he became reserve driver in 2019, people were like, yeah, he's gonna come back in the Merc, because Toto had really hyped him up a lot through those years.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what, there's definitely a video in this, like spitballing, like if Rosberg had stayed, how the chain of events, how that would have changed everything. Because you're right, it would have, like, imagine if Verline had taken that seat as well, like how different his life would be now. But also,
cut off.
What's interesting about Bottas is that I know that Bottas and Ricciardo kind of came up at the same time, and there's loads of videos of great battles that them two had, like in the lower formulas before F1. And now Ricciardo is just, we know him so much for being a great wheel-to-wheel racer and a great overtaker. And Valtteri, we don't know him for that at all. And it's mad because it felt like they used to battle really hard, and Bottas used to give it to Ricciardo as much as the other way around. And Ricciardo actually used to be much more like placid when he was younger, and then kind of found his
edge.
Found his edge, exactly. So
could that just be the difference between between the world champion, really, at the end of the day, like a great inter-team battle, between Ricciardo and Bottas in the junior ranks, of course, 2 awesome drivers. But I mean, Lewis he's not a 7-time world champion for no reason.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's just that. It's that mental, and whatever way you get your mental edge, whether it's beating your opponents on track or doing what people like Michael Schumacher and Max Verstappen do and just marry your opponent's girlfriends. Just,
But it's like a whole package.
in whatever way you do it. But Hamilton seemed to be the master of that, you know? And so, for however good Valtteri was in the lead up to it, the best season he's had against Lewis really was, when was it, last year? No, sorry, 2019 rather?
Yeah, it was.
We had that awesome start to the season, but then as soon as Lewis just got that little bit ahead of him, just ran away.
And
gone.
I think it's like as soon as you just let yourself be a pushover, once you stay a pushover, just a snowball effect. It's like Valtteri just basically 2017, he's like, okay, I'm new at the team. I can cut Lewis some slack. I don't have to mess with him all the time. And then the team just accept him for being like a wingman. And then all of a sudden they accidentally call him a good wingman, and he becomes offended, but it's his own fault. Like
whereas Rosberg was like a fighter, like he did not care.
Because Rosberg
he was up for it.
Like in junior formula, it's like
much shit.
Rosberg always lost to Hamilton.
Man, I love Rosberg. Rosberg's one of my favorite people in the world.
He pushed Lewis in all those years. Like,
and then
looking back on it, we didn't appreciate him.
We didn't appreciate him when it was happening.
When he was there,
we didn't appreciate what we had.
Really?
Like, was it 2 years where it went down to the final race between those two? I mean. Yes, the car was super dominant, but still, though, like, I mean,
haven't had that since.
Like that. I mean, this is one of those rivalries. Well, even now we're looking back on it and with fond memories. But in 20 years time, we're gonna look back at this. So
that showdown in 2016 actually made Abu Dhabi a really good race.
Yeah, it did.
It made it a really fun, exciting race because you had like Seb. And then you also had Max, but you could tell that Seb was kind of like helping Rosberg in a way, like not trying to compromise him or not trying to do anything silly, kind of helping out his fellow German. I don't know, it was just really wholesome and really exciting. Yeah.
It's like 2012 with what's that 2012? Schumacher's last race at the Brazil Grand Prix, where he just let Vettel by, right?
Yeah.
Kind of cool.
Cool, yeah.
It's countryman. Right. Yeah. I think we're moving on to the next category.
Digressed.
So hashtag my bad F1 opinion.
Here we go.
Let's hear a terrible opinion from each of you.
Jesus Christ. Tomo, you go first. I don't want to get lynched.
All right. Well, I've already vocalized, so it's good because I can, I'll put a video out, and then the thing I get slated for the most, then I kind of reflect on it and think, okay, a lot of people don't agree with this. This is a prediction for next year. I think that Ocon is going to outperform Alonso. Oh, the mic didn't pick that up. That's so annoying. Emil, you need to add like a thud when his head hits the or like an explosion.
Just do what I do with my videos. Just add some random ass explosion from some Ukrainian fireworks factory.
Go full Nico Rosberg. Look, let me articulate why I believe that. I think it's a combination of Ocon. I definitely think he improved towards the end of the season just gone. He got 2 qualifying victories over Ricciardo. I think was much closer to Ricciardo by the end of the year. He's had this year at the team now, and we got to remember as well, this is his first year at Renault as well. It's his like rookie season at Renault. I know he was in and out, whatever. I think Ocon is still very young. I think he's on an upward trajectory. Alonso, for me, prime Alonso, I think is in the conversation for top 10 of all time, 100%. But Michael Schumacher's return proved that, and I know it's different, but just because, like you said, Josh, just because you've had success in the past doesn't guarantee success in the future. And I think Alonso's been out of a Formula car for a while. Yes, he's performed, he's done Le Mans, he's done other things. But for me, like I'm thinking about that not even as such to take away from Alonso, but to credit Ocon, because I do believe that Ocon's got it in him. And I think Mercedes have seen something in him clearly, and yes, it was a bit of a, but again, he's against Daniel Ricciardo, and again, I think that's credit to Ricciardo because Ricciardo's so good, and I think to expect Esteban to be able to perform against Ricciardo at the start of the year, I think was a lot to ask of him, and I think he has come good, and I just think Alonso, he is what he'll be. Would he be actually 40 or would he be 39 when the season starts? I'm not sure, but
at 40, he'll be 40.
He'll be 40. There has to be some drop off when you're getting to those levels, and the fact that he hasn't been in F1, consistently he hasn't raced in F1 for the last couple of years. For me, I just think I understand where the hype comes from, but for me, I think Ocon's going to outperform Alonso. That's my shout.
That's a nice bold prediction.
Yeah, that's it. Got to go for it. Sometimes follow your heart. What do you guys think about that then? Am I just chatting?
I think it's an okay prediction.
I mean, it's a good prediction, just so long as Ocon does not remember his French. And by that I mean get befallen for what most French drivers do, where it's just sort of falls by the wayside. I was really confused this year as to why Ocon was like. I mean, I know it's Ricciardo, but just to be as far back as he was, I was not in understandings for what was happening. Like, it didn't make any sense. But of course, as you mentioned, as the season went on, it just got closer and closer to a point where Ocon was legitimately, at least up there with Ocon. Not necessarily beating him, but
he was challenging Ricciardo towards the end for sure. And he got the highest. He got the second place. Ricciardo only got a third. Just sad. Facts. But also, again, you remember, like, Ocon had a season out and he's such a young driver. Ricciardo, yes, he hadn't been racing for Renault, but he hadn't had a season out. You know what I mean? Well, no, sorry, he had been racing for Renault.
I was like, oh, hang on, what? Ricciardo had been racing in Renault for that season.
And then Ocon replaced Hülkenberg.
And then Ocon came into Renault as a full-time driver after a year out, whereas Ricciardo had obviously been helping develop the car from the season on. And Ricciardo's no slouch.
I think Ricciardo's one of the, for me, he's top 4 drivers in terms of talent-wise. I just think that was a lot to ask. And the fact that he was able to bridge the gap towards the end of the year, I think...
that's the thing that some people need to sort of keep in mind. I mean, whenever we draw these sorts of comparisons, it's not to say some other driver's shit.
No.
It's all just for comparative sake,
Yeah, because
it's a tough damn sport, especially with the caliber of drivers that are in there. If you discount Nikita Mazepin.
Yeah, well, it's like Alonso's had a few years off now, whereas Ocon is kind of going to carry this momentum into this year, 2021. So at the start of the season, I won't be surprised if Ocon is ahead of Alonso. If Alonso somehow blows him out of the water, let's say, I would be very surprised. Yeah, just because it's his first.
He has had some miles in the car, though. He's had some miles in that Renault car.
Yeah, true.
And that's also true. Decently, if you want to read into the damn young drivers test in Abu Dhabi, if you want to read too much into that, then you would say that he's on course for some great things. Yeah. But the point is that he's gradually getting into the groove. It's not as if he wasn't in the hybrid era. So, will there be teething problems? You'd have to say there would be. But if any driver's going to pull this off, it'll probably be the Lord of the Eyebrows.
Yeah. I love Alonso. I'm one of his biggest fans, so I want him to do well. And
same.
Alonso, if you're watching this, keep the beard. Don't shave.
To be honest with you, I wasn't expecting that to come out of your mouth then. Fernando, if you're watching this, I love you. Mi amor. Oh, Jesus. And just Tomo's just... Oh, dear.
It's fine. I'm still here. The battery had gone on my camera.
That Alonso thing killed your camera, did it?
Just Alonso making you disappear straight up.
Yeah, I was going to say Alonso's here. He's knocking at the door.
All right. Who else has a terrible F1 opinion?
Oh, I've got to go, do I?
Yeah, you. You're going to get lynched. I want to hear it.
Oh,
here we go.
I've got something in my head right now.
Go on, just lay it out there. No one will clip this up and put it on Twitter out of context.
No.
Yeah, F1 out of context if you're watching this.
Oh my god.
Just say it.
He's about to say something about the Lando fans. It has to be.
I've got one about Lando, though.
The K-pop stands of F1. Go on, Josh. Come on.
I got something in my head. I don't know how to word it, though. It's in relation to Prost.
Okay. That's fine. The Prost stands out there won't be happy.
In a lot of instances, not all of them, Prost was better than Senna.
Oh,
I agree.
And let me just say this: I'm a big ass Senna fan. My favorite driver of all time.
He picked the helmet as well.
But But the thing is, in a lot of instances, especially in the 80s, Prost was simply creme de la creme, the best in the world. If you do not count Teo Fabi's hairline, and just the way he was able to, acquire what he did, achieve what he did. I mean, he was pretty damn unlucky to actually lose to Lauda. It was ironically them cancelling the race in Monaco was probably the reason why he lost the championship. Because he only got half the points, and lost the championship by half a point. So he may have been a 5-time world champion, and especially in that era of drivers, Senna, Mansell, PK, Berger. If you want to get desperate here, just some incredible drivers of the time, closer competition. And all of that for Prost to achieve what he did. I feel like, especially the Senna movie did him a lot of injustice.
Yeah, totally, man.
Yeah, it made him out to look like a Bond villain with a broken nose. So, it just, I think I do not like the outcome. He definitely deserves a lot more credit than what he gets.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't even know if that's an unpopular opinion.
No,
I think
it's an unpopular opinion in Sao Paulo, whose viewers are now just clocked out.
I love Senna, but I'm one of Senna's biggest fans as well. But I think part of the reason why people kind of sleep on Prost is because of Senna's relationship with Prost, their rivalry, and what some of the things that Senna said about Prost publicly.
Well, yeah, and 89 also, the politics and stuff that went on with that, in which I will say, yes, most definitely that was totally sour on Balestra's part and on Prost's part. That there was no logical reason for Senna to be DQ'd in that race. And if you look at the trajectory of Prost's car, he not only was going to turn in early for the corner, he was creating a whole new friggin' corner.
Yeah.
But what people do not want to talk about is what happened 12 months later.
Yeah, that
now,
freaking...
I'm sorry.
And that was just stupid. Just revenge.
What Prost did was dirty. What Senna did was, I'd have to say, worse.
Yeah,
it was
straight up attempted murder.
Yeah, and it was just not honest. It was cheating.
If that happened now, imagine Twitter. Everyone would not refer to, like, let's just say that happened with Bottas and Hamilton, and Bottas purposely took out Hamilton. He wouldn't be known as Bottas anymore. Twitter would call it car 77.
I'm not being funny. You could say the same about Schumacher as well. Like, Schumacher's was guilty of similar, unsportsmanlike behaviour, which I think will in some way.
I mean, he got disqualified from the whole championship in '97.
Yeah, exactly.
For that reason.
Rightfully so.
Which is a double blow to losing a championship to Jacques Villeneuve.
But really, it's
coming
proves...
soon in the next WTF episode.
But really, and Senna really did this. He just proved that he couldn't be the bigger person. Being the bigger person would be racing him, winning. Schumacher, being the bigger person, would be racing and losing, but in an honest way.
Yeah, especially back then the cars were wild animals. It was very, very easy to either die or
and the state of the tracks.
Yeah, true. Marshalling and all that. There was a lot. I feel like with Senna, a personality. He clearly had quite an abrasive personality. You either loved him or you didn't love him. I feel like similar to Alonso in a way. Some people find that endearing. Doesn't says what he wants and does what he believes and doesn't really think too much about the consequences. And some people again find that endearing. Some people don't. But also, I think a lot of the for me, I could definitely see why people think in terms of pace, absolute, just purely on absolute pace, Senna maybe edges it for sure. But when you consider everything, when you consider all the factors, if I was a team principal and I was choosing between the two, I'd pick Prost 100% because I think that I think the whole package, I think Prost would be more consistent, would deliver more, would have more to offer. And obviously with Senna, absolute talent for sure, but obviously we know again, the fact that he was taken so soon, I think as well has a big impact on the way a driver is considered. I think if that had been Prost who'd lost his life in that accident, and Senna was still about to this day and still working in F1 like Prost does, I don't know, I feel like... Or
somebody someone like Kimi, if he lost his life in an accident.
Yeah, exactly.
In 2008 or something,
Yeah.
The year after his title, right?
Yeah.
Then we'd regard him probably higher than we do now.
And you lost Senna in his prime as well, and he was such a, it's going to have an impact on how these drivers are considered and thought about going forward. And Prost was a victim of, I think, being in that generation where kind of Senna's circumstance and the fact he was so talented and he did have such an amazing fandom kind of took that attention away from Prost, I guess. That's what I would say.
Absolutely.
True. Yeah. So, Anthony, you got a terrible F1 opinion?
Yeah, and... yeah.
Context, get ready.
Go on.
This is... okay, so... Nico Hülkenberg for me is overrated.
Salute. And as we
not saying he's a bad driver. I'm not saying he's a bad driver, but I feel like what he did this year was great. I mean, to have time out and come back and sort of prove everyone wrong, but I feel like with that, what he did caused a lot of fans to just bump him up a bit higher than where he should be. I think, like, got nothing against the guy.
Anthony,
where do you think he should be?
Anthony, you hear those jets over your house? Germans will send an air reconnaissance mission to your house. Your house will be running up in 5, 4, 3 stars.
What level do you consider him at?
A decent driver, I'd say. You know,
like, who would you kind of put him on par with? So I think that's probably the best way of kind of
on par with, probably. Because that's a really good question.
Bear in mind, like, he was pretty much, if I remember correctly, he was kind of the king of Formula 1.5 for like a while. Like, he would be the next driver. He would be P7. Like, that was kind of his thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And obviously the package that he had didn't allow to, because you had the domination from the 3 teams at the top. So it is difficult to say, isn't it, really? But
I feel
to come in and qualify P3, I think was just
pretty good.
That was good, 100%. That was
and not in weird conditions either. Like, that was thoroughly
on merit.
Was it the 70th anniversary Grand Prix, not the British 70th. One?
Yeah.
So he did have a weekend. I'm playing devil's advocate here.
Right.
He did have a weekend
Joshua.
in the car. As was everybody else. Kind of
1 week, Josh.
I might get lynched for that.
He didn't get to race in the British one, did he?
That?
No, he didn't get to race, did he?
So he didn't really get used to the car. No, but still
qualified. What's the worst shit take? This or me calling Albon Emil Heskey?
I'll never forgive you for that.
But really, like, I agree with you, actually, Anthony. I think he's a bit overrated, because when you look at his very long career, which it actually is, he had many opportunities. And I'd rate him below Perez, because on the opportunities that Perez had to score a podium, Perez had the mental.
What's he done? Josh just heard that and just was like, no.
Josh is just.
I don't know where it's gone now. Damn it.
He's not listening anymore. He's just out. But really, Perez kept his head cool. And
Perez for me is Hülkenberg, but like a complete package of more well-rounded driver. I feel
because you could say it's bad luck from Hülkenberg's side, but I mean, in Formula One, there's not a lot of luck, anyways, because everything's pretty much calculated. Every scenario has pretty much been calculated. So him just sliding out of the corner is in like what was it? Hockenheim 2019 was.
Yeah,
I mean that
Brazil,
you could call
2012?
him. You could call it, You could call that
there
like.
Are those that take their there are those who don't take their opportunities, such as him, and then there are those that do.
Yes. But really, like, you could call that bad communication with the team, because had the team had good communication, they would have looked at the other cars and been like, "Hey, Hulk, just go 50 there, don't go 100," and you would probably not have
circumstance.
Yep.
Like how much of that is, but actually, you mentioned Sergio. That kind of another little dodgy opinion that I've got regarding Sergio. I think Sergio's quite dirty. I rate Sergio.
You remember Singapore
loves
2018? Yeah, he does.
He loves the squeeze. Like that squeeze on Gasly at Spa.
What are we saying?
Oh my
here?
words!
He's dirty. He loves a squeeze. Hello, Nikita Mazepin. How's your day?
But really, it's true. Do you remember how hated
they're both, but in very different ways?
Perez was so hated after Singapore 2018. It was crazy. Like if you go back at the replay, because I remember that year I thought it was pretty fun to root for Sergei Sirotkin just all year.
Yeah.
And then when Sergei really made that, but when Sergei made that race really fun, And then Perez came and just
drove into him. Oh, mate. He squeezed Gasly twice this year as well, at Portimao and at Spa. He almost killed Gasly twice. Like, I really rate Sergio, but I think that side, he pushes it a bit too far, I think.
Yeah, true. That's going to be interesting with Max, because Max, it is. Max doesn't give a shit. No, you know what I mean? Like,
it'll be fun. It starts if they line up next to each other.
And it will be big.
So my terrible opinion is, I think Lando will never be world champion.
I agree with you.
And there you go. There's some of your audience gone.
And I'll tell you why.
Yeah, tell us why.
Because I think he has a lot of confidence and he has a lot of talent to back up that confidence. But in F2, he was in Russell's shade, and then he stepped up to Formula One, and he was in the shade of Carlos Sainz, who had a pretty terrible season at Renault, but then beat Lando that season. And the next season, Carlos was unfortunate, but still ended up pretty much edging Lando. And now this year, Lando is unfortunate to have Ricciardo arrive at the team, because I think the team will focus a lot on the arrival of this superstar with the wins on under his belt. So I think he will. His confidence will take a beating, but it's been a long beating, and I think that it'll be hard for him to make it into something bigger, like a championship in the future.
Well,
depends on how long he's in the sport too.
Let's say, like, speaking hypothetically, let's say McLaren produce a incredible car in 2022, and both Lando and Ricciardo are fighting for a championship. Let's just say, like, you're going to go with Ricciardo, but, like, that's nothing against Norris. That's just, like, Ricciardo's just very good. So it's like, I can see what you mean, though, by, like, his teammates and stuff.
I really rate him. Yeah. I love Lando.
I mean, he's still only 20... Is he 21 or is he still 20?
I think he's 21. He's not 20.
The thing is, the Ricciardo thing you can look at from that point of view, but also, surely for a young driver to be working alongside Daniel Ricciardo, for someone as young as he is, that must, as well, I think Lando, as long as Lando kind of doesn't expect too much too soon, I think he can learn a lot from Ricciardo coming in, and it can help him grow as a driver. Look, we could be seeing Lando in F1 for another 20 years if he goes for as long as Kimi. So he's got a lot of time, but a lot of circumstance as well. It's like, hopefully the new regs will close things up a bit so that there are more than just two teams that can potentially fight for a world driver's title. So maybe then, but I think circumstance could get in the way, but I definitely think he's got the ability.
He's got the ability, I think too. But I think
he's got the potential, or the potential, should I say?
But maybe. The dynamics of Formula One, I just don't think they'll play in his favor.
It would be tricky.
I don't know.
But the thing is, as well, he's a very valuable entity to McLaren as well.
To any team,
exactly, to any team. Any team that gets Lando in is going to shift a lot of merchandise. Let's just say that.
But that's why it's a bad opinion. It's a terrible opinion.
We might poke fun at his fans and stuff, but, like, he's got a lot of fans. That's very helpful.
Yeah,
you know what
exactly.
I mean?
And rightly so. You can see why people like him.
He's very easy to what's the word, like,
to market. Like he's actually
he's very relatable. He's relatable to, like, new fans, I think, as well. People. So that, for the younger people.
Race against him if you're in his league.
Yeah, that's it.
It's pretty cool.
It's switched on to that younger generation that F1 want to try and start to appeal to, because it is still a very old man sport, ultimately, as much as, you know, in our little bubble that we operate in, it is still, I think, I can't remember, I think it's like 14% of F1 fans, this is some study in like 2018, I think it's 14% are under the age of like 25. So it's like, it's still like 86% of F1 fans are over 25, and a lot of them are going to be very old, you know, men, ultimately.
Yeah, just 50 to 65-year-olds who turn on the
value
TV on
of
Sunday.
Norris, not just to McLaren, but to F1 as a brand as well, I think is huge.
And all the young drivers, the Twitch quartet were pretty,
Absolutely.
I agree.
What do you think, Josh? Josh, just stay quiet.
Yep. Let's hear Josh. He's going to rip me apart now.
Come on, Josh. I'll let you get away with this.
I made a whole video on this issue. Like, about
Look at description.
And the question is, it's not could he be a world champion. Sorry, it's not will he be a world champion. It's could he be a world champion. Could he be? Yeah. Will he be? Fuck knows. There we go.
Nice and on the fence. There we go. Love it.
Nice. All right, guys. We're getting towards the end, but let's just have just a sec. Let's just have 2 more rounds of hashtags here. We have one, which is going to be pretty funny. A quick prediction for 2021, and it's going to be under the hashtag #MyBadF1 prediction. Because the usual Hamilton will be champion or Bottas will be second, that's boring. Let's spice it up. Let's have a terrible prediction.
Me first.
Let's go, Josh.
Bottas is going to win a Grand Prix.
That's a great prediction. And you owe us beer.
I'm so confident in this.
You're overconfident on this.
Overly confident.
Nice. I have nothing against it, I think. But will the Racing Point be, or the Aston Martin, be as competitive as it was this year?
No.
Depends.
I don't know. That's just.
So he'll have like a
all I'll
fortunate.
say is that this will most likely not be an instance of outright pace from him, but rather circumstance. But as I said before, how there are people that take those chances.
Yeah, so he'll have like
and
a
he
Gasly,
is one of them.
A Gasly-esque win.
It was almost him, for God's sake. He was leading the race right up until the second chicane where he missed it and lost the lead.
He burned it.
Poor guy. I mean, rich guy.
Rich guy.
He's not a poor guy.
Lancelot shall get his revenge this year. He'll win the race.
Sir Lancelot will come back stronger.
I don't know if you can consider mine mine's just a shower thought or like a random thought, but I think Esteban Ocon will show up with the worst haircut in 2021.
I must be honest, that is not something that I was initially predicting. So.
Describe the trim you're imagining.
You'll have like a random.
What are you thinking?
He needs just a little bit higher on the top. Just push it over a bit. Maybe he can consult. Hey, maybe he can consult with his teammate Fernando, because Fernando's quite luscious. He's quite a luscious man.
It's true. He is true.
So yeah, that's my opinion.
Okay.
Worst haircut.
Yeah, that's my prediction for worst haircut.
Yeah, prediction. What do you say, Tomo? You got one?
I think that Aston Martin are gonna flop. I think they're gonna have a dodgy first season. I think they're gonna go from they should have really got third in the constructors this year.
Yeah.
When you consider Perez missing races, Stroll missing races, engine problems, all that. But I think they're gonna, because they've dropped Mr. Consistent and they've got Mr. Inconsistent in Stroll, which, like we said, is hot or cold. It's amazing or terrible. And then they've gone with Vettel, which is a completely unknown prospect, really.
Super gamble, honestly.
Super gamble. So, yeah, I would not be surprised if they end up 6th. Maybe even behind AlphaTauri, but I wouldn't go that far. I predicted them 6th, but I don't think behind AlphaTauri. That's a dirty prediction.
That's dirty, man. You're really doing them dirty. Their new image is just gonna.
We'll see. We'll see.
It'll make things interesting in the championship for sure, but.
Again, I think Ferrari are going to make the step up. I think Alpine, they're talking about a brand new engine that they've developed for the Renault and they can just focus on themselves. I think McLaren are onto a good thing. I think it's going to be tight, but I wouldn't be surprised if they end up 6th at all.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, well, that's kind of like... Yeah, I feel the same because I think it'll either go very well or very bad.
Yeah,
I think there's only 2 ways. It won't be really... Yeah, it won't be any in between for Aston Martin. I hope they do well.
Yeah, I want to see him do well, definitely.
It would be nice. Really cool.
We will see. We will see, boys.
Yeah. I don't know. How long is Seb's contract for?
Seb's, I think it's just 1 year, isn't it?
Is it?
1 year. For 15 million euros, and all my stuff now is bath water. Really desperate.
It's so... I mean...
Anyway.
He has a lot to lose, Mr. Seb.
He does.
But, all right.
But it was the best, like we were saying earlier, it was the best option for him. So
True.
he had to do it.
What was it the only option for him, was it?
What if Lance beats him?
We don't know.
If Lance beats him, then Josh would be happy.
That would be a filthy opinion.
Well, here's the thing, though. If Lance beats him... I mean, okay.
I was hoping you'd say that, Josh, to be honest.
Well, people are going to have these wild opinions where if Seb beats him, people will just say, see, look, Lance is so shit. But if Lance beats him, people will flip that and say, oh, look, they're just backing Lance here and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
they'll find ways to twist and bend the narrative.
They won't give him the credit that he's owed.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, if he sorts out his consistency and has a run like he did from Hungary right through to Mugello, if he can continue that for a calendar year, great. That's all we need from him.
That'd be good.
Yeah. I just hope he gets that.
I think Lance is definitely guilty of letting the emotion get to him a bit. Like we've seen him in a few like post-race conferences where he's been very like blunt, and he seems very like emotional, which can be at the detriment of performance. So like, was it after Abu Dhabi when everyone was doing the wholesome thanks end of year, and he was just like, these tyres are fucking shit. Which I understand but I think that frustration has bubbled over, and I don't know, maybe it's not, but I feel like that has maybe had an adverse effect on his performances at times as well. But again, he's still so young. He's only 22, 21. He's the second youngest driver. Okay, Yuki Tsunoda's coming now. He's the youngest, but
that's true.
Like,
first driver born in the 2000s.
A lot of potential.
Super young, lots of years ahead of him, I think.
Nice.
With Dad in place.
Lots of years. We're talking about Tsunoda here because Tsunoda will be Marcoed in about 3 years.
I was talking about Stroll, but hopefully Tsunoda avoids because Tsunoda's the most wholesome human being ever to exist. Yeah,
the new album probably.
I love him.
I'll take that bet. Sorry, Tomo.
No, I love Yuki. I love Yuki.
He's going to be the new album.
He's not going to be at Alex's level, but for me this year it's Yuki, Daniel, and Lando all kind of equal support for me. That's
nice.
Actually, who are you boys rooting for this year?
I'm rooting for
Mahavir.
Mahavir. Agreed. He showed a very strong pace 2020.
Carlos and Mick for me.
Nice.
So
I don't root for any particular driver, but in this case, I think we
wearing that t-shirt.
I'm going to be no, hang on. Just because I'm wearing this shirt does not mean I'm not.
Doesn't mean anything.
You're calling me here. No. I mean, may all 19 drivers this year have a good freaking season.
Yeah.
The other one.
That'd be wholesome for the sport. But really...
What about... How many? 20?
19.
19. Okay, yeah.
Oh, yeah. All decent...
Poor Antonio Giovinazzi.
That's you've done Latifi stiff there.
Actually, Latifi, his qualifying was pretty shit, but his race pace... His race pace was actually pretty decent.
He was beating George up until Sakir in the standings.
I mean, let's be honest. It was because of that high attrition first round.
Because he had that 11th place,
yeah. I mean, and there were the odd couple of rounds where Latifi's race pace was atrocious.
But George is better, of course. But
I mean, George is just
George is next
really
level.
damn good. But still, though, Latifi did pretty well considering everything. So we'll see where he is at the end of this year, and if he's if he's performing well enough, then
yeah, he does seem like a really nice guy.
Yep,
all Canadians are nice, except for the ones from Quebec.
Right. So my prediction for this year, is that, and I wrote this in a comment on your video, Tomo. You remember?
Go on, say it.
That Bottas, and it's a very bad prediction, that Bottas will fall apart after the first 5 races.
And lose his seat.
And lose his seat to George.
You said lose his seat to Russell, yeah.
So they'll do the switcheroo. The old switcheroo.
So
and I think Bottas will just
Marco,
straight quit the sport afterwards. Maybe.
Merca going to Marco Valtteri. That's bold.
That is bold.
I see that happening.
But are they?
I don't know.
Would Williams play ball though? Because I do wonder what Williams got out of letting George.
Valtteri?
Like, did
Letting
Mercedes threaten them with like, if you don't give us George for this one race, we'll put a hot dog in your engine, or whether it was like some kind of deal was struck there. I don't know.
Yeah, because I don't think Bottas' confidence can take anymore. Now it's taken 4 years.
I feel for him because
I feel for him.
The scrutiny, that all these. I think it's a point to make is that the scrutiny, the intensity of people like Alex, Mattia Binotto, Valtteri, like these guys go through. I can't even begin to imagine what that does to the psyche of someone and how like damaging that can be, because
it must be so tough.
It's intense. Like it comes with being a professional sports person, but
being the constant number 2 is just never easy anywhere.
No,
it'll kill any confidence in anybody. Right, guys, we got one last thing left.
Nice.
For the podcast, and it's just one word from each of you. I want to hear your favorite YouTuber of 2020. So give a shout out to the tiny channel or the huge channel or whoever you've watched or enjoyed the most, or you want to give a little bit of attention in the last bit of this podcast.
Nice. I like this. Okay. Shall I go first?
If you got one, right on your...
I want to shout out, and he's a great guy. I've actually met him before as well. Really nice guy. Moto Meerkat, John.
Yes! He's a great guy, man.
Funny, mate. Like, literally, if you haven't watched Mr. Aiden as well, I'm giving a shout out because he did his awards show. Yep. No, not Aiden Millwood. Love Aiden Millwood, but Mr. Aiden F1.
Oh, well. Mr. Aiden, yeah.
Yeah. So he did an awards show, and Moto Meerkat's got a bit on it, and he was actually jokes. I was actually creasing. He's a really funny guy.
He's a great guy. We're working on something secretly as well.
Nice.
Me and John.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good
that's
one.
My shout out.
How about you, Josh? You got one?
Simdane, mate. Because we made that Africa song.
Yeah,
How
bro.
come not? It's gonna take a lot to get. How did it go again? I wrote the song.
Hang on, I just want to say as well. Do I get any credit for link? Because I was the one, Sim, who told you about Josh's amazing Gunter impression.
Bro,
and then that did happen, didn't it?
You made it happen. Absolutely.
Yes.
Like, actually, literally 30 minutes after we did the podcast, Tomo, I texted Josh.
Nice.
And I was like, yo, Tomo really told on you. You have to do the Gunter accent now.
Your Gunter impression. It's good though, isn't it? It's a good impression.
It's awesome, man.
Come on, Josh.
Brought us together. How about you, Anthony, man?
So,
sorry, bro.
What?
Did I cut you off, Josh?
Yeah. I mean, like, so, probably here in terms of YouTube, or we promoting small channels here, or
we can make any channel. Literally, it's just any channel.
PewDiePie.
Okay then.
Yeah, PewDiePie, man. This year.
Oh, Mr. Beast.
Really underrated.
Screw that Swedish meatball. No, the one that sort of really helped this year was Austin McConnell, because he
he's
provided
great.
a lot of insight into how to make certain videos, because I don't want to be that sort of... I always look to wait for ways to improve the videos, not that improving my earlier videos was such a hard feat, but... Watching his ones sort of get clues and ideas as to what you could do to make them unique and stand out, and certain different techniques and stuff. And so I think, especially when I'm looking for inspiration as to how to make videos or whatever, you go watch a few of his, and it's like, you get quite a few ideas that you can carry through to your next projects. So yeah, that's probably my biggest one for the year.
Yeah,
nice, man.
Austin's great. He's really good.
Nice, man. How about you, Anthony? Who's your underdog or overdog?
Well, there's so many, but I've got a few written down.
Nice.
So, first of all, Will from FP1. I think he's just a great guy. He makes really good content. JWF1, who's blown up this year as well. Really enjoyable.
Such a nice guy.
He's got
nice guy too. I also had Moto Meerkat down as well, just because he's so funny.
Double shout out. He'll love that. He will love that.
Then I have Beth from Beth1.
Oh yeah, Beth F1.
She's like, I can watch one of her videos and just like I can put a video on and just be fully into it. And then I got Jeb Motorsport, who I think is quite underrated. I think he makes really, really good stuff. And then All About Steph 1. So those are the ones that stood out to me the most this year. And
nice.
It's cool because we're in like a group chat and all that. And
we'll put them.
So good. The content community is great. Yeah.
Put all of them in the description.
Yeah.
And the F-Series girls as well, which is Steph and Beth are in as well.
Yeah.
They're doing sick stuff. So
right.
Really good.
Nice. So for me, I would say Daka 44.
Oh, he's so good.
Because he put me.
So good.
He was like the first one who put my song in like a big video. And I was so sick, and I immediately contacted him afterwards, and he's just such a cool guy. And I think all the meme pages, like all the YouTube meme pages, like Grosjean and African and
Formula
Mavic
God comments
and Formula God comments. Yeah, they're great. I think those meme pages really they deserve some credit.
Definitely,
yeah, for sure.
Because they bring so much humor to the sport. I'm very inspired by that. And I would say Moto Meerkat as well. And JWF1. Those guys.
John's getting a lot of love in this one, isn't he?
Isn't he?
Absolutely. But
shout out.
He's everywhere. Who was on his podcast? It was Driver 61 as well. He was on Moto Meerkat's podcast. He's really doing
a
great job.
Yeah. Definitely.
For sure.
Nice. That was like the whole thing. We've been through the whole thing.
That's it.
Nice.
The whole thing is done.
That's sick. So actually really stoked that we got this to work. Thank you, Tomo, for still coming on. Being 2 hours late.
An hour late. Because you told me 9 and I was here at 10. Even though you were here at 7.
We messed the whole thing up. Yeah, I was here at 7. We sat here for 4 hours, I sat here for 4 hours until you came on.
I'm so sorry.
But guys, all three of you, man, I'm so happy you all wanted to join.
Of course.
It's been so nice.
You know what? Like,
fun.
I think for all 4 of us, it's been like, as much as 2020 has been a horrible year, we've also like, I think credit to all of us for like doing what we've done and like growing. We all started with the year with nothing, like no following, and now we're here where we are. So all of us, like, it's crazy.
It's fortunate.
Yeah, well done, boys. Proud of you all.
Well done, boys.
energy, guys. Come on.
Yeah, guys.
Fuck off. It's 1:30 in the morning.
Well, it's midday here, Josh. Match my energy levels.
Yes.
Come on.
It was supposed to finish at 10 p.m. and I was supposed to get through the night to make a video. It's because of you. Oh, no, sorry. It's Emil. Emil, fuck you. It's just because of both of you, a video is going to get delayed. And I've got a migraine too.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
Tough
but
shit.
It's for the greater purpose of Formula One.
Exactly.
But guys,
for the sport.
Thank you. And thank you to everybody who's followed Simdane and Josh Revel and Perspective F1 and Tomo F1 in 2020. For real. What a crazy year it's been. It's been the best year it could have been possibly for the 4 of us. So
absolutely.
Thanks to everybody and for watching this podcast or hearing it or whatever you're going to do with it. So thank you so much, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
See you
it's
soon.
Been a pleasure.
For a new video, for new videos, or new collabs, whatever we do. Cheers.
Bye. Bye. Have a great time.
Thank you so much, everyone, for watching this. I really hope you'll go and subscribe to Anthony, Josh, and Tomo, because they're really inspiring and they make some of the best F1 content you could find. And thank you so much to my Patreons for having my back. Cheers, guys. See you soon.